It's Steve and Joe from Freshagenda. And Steve, we're here with, we finally admit it,
Yes.
not actually a weekly take.
Yeah, we're pretending for a long time about this. Now it's out there.
So this week we've got a bit of an overview of the end of 2022 buy in the markets, an overview of another GDT event, which was 3.8% down this time around, and then of course chart of the week, everybody's favourite.
Well, yes. All right. So the vibe, we put this up last time. There have been a few changes, not much really, but the vibe, I guess, is fairly negative. But it's almost like we're waiting for some demand side change. And the thing that everyone seems to be pointing to is that, China comes back with a change of it. I don't know. There's a lot hanging over this supply chain or global supply chains on the domestic demand sides in mostly Europe. It's still a lot to do. But let's get through some points. So production is growing, but at a slower pace than still some challenges ahead as margins are thinning. We go to New Zealand, that's going the other way.
Yeah, it swings from very dry to very wet, doesn't it?
You don't think that climate map or that soil moisture map is too wet to grow milk.
Although the pasture growth index there is, above average.
Yeah, I mean, this is over the overnight. So there's some very, very recent rain, I guess, but that's a 15-day average, which is surging. So it points to some growth in milk after many months of not. And Europe is going to grow faster in November.
Sure.
Based on the indicators we're seeing, probably still pretty good in December, and then we'll see it waning a bit as we get into some tougher comparables, but also the thing that's growing the milk so quickly and surprised a lot, mostly, is that grass growth in that late autumn period was really strong, freakish almost. So the effect of that will start to weaken. So it's a short-term thing, and as the feed starts to get to the bottom of the bunkers and the quality is more suspect and the fertiliser is less.
That's the big unknown, isn't it?
Yeah,
going forward.
As we go forward.
Yep.
So how that all adds up is, it's not massive growth as you look at the top five, adding them up. It's, it's less than 1.5% maybe by the time it gets to January.
Kind of enough though, isn't it?
Right now it is.
With the demand headwinds that we're facing.
Yeah, certainly. It isn't going to, that decline as we go into Q1 isn't going to really change much unless we see a real turnaround in the export trade.
Sure.
But over in China, so the tracking of mobility of consumers is still pretty weak. I think when we see an update of this, which should come in the next week, that will look a lot better. But is it changing behaviour? With opening up is one thing, but getting people to move around and feel safe that is quite another.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more discussion about when the brakes are off and the illness spreads rapidly in some of these cities, how that's going to affect supply chains, people's daily lives.
Which we've all lived through.
Yeah, but in China, just the scale of everything is so much larger. Yeah.
So again, the indicators that we're looking at, that milk price has not started to change at all. It's been stuck around the same level for some time, getting a little weaker, in fact. And there's still, abundant stocks.
Yes.
Even though there's a chart that we'll talk about later, which is really horrible on the import side. So, but in Europe, you've pulled out a little set of headlines.
Yeah. Just some of the headlines about the European economy, the outlook for growth. And it's not a really pretty picture in terms of what the Europeans will be contending with into 2023. And that last little chart from The Economist, and you can see there they've sort of stolen our chart of the week, Steve, headline.
Yeah, look, I don't know that we own that, but it's a good claim. Yeah.
But the negatives are the bluer tinge in that little hexagon diagram there. And there's a fair bit of blue in there, isn't there?
A lot of big economies in those blue discs.
Yeah.
France and Germany.
So this is the concern. I mean, dairy consumption is obviously very resilient in a developed country like Europe, but people are already trading down, and the pressure will just continue into 2023.
Yep. So to a GDT event, which
has all that background.
Has all that in the background with the weight of product addition being reported in Europe, particularly skim milk powder and butter, and the assessment of stocks which came out recently as well through the Commission's channel. Certainly surprised how much stock there was earlier, which revised upwards. So, product availability has certainly improved. And that's why pay Oceania prices for product when there's plenty of it.
That's right.
So fairly consistent, even though the percentage changes in the milk powders were worse. Very similar looking forwards.
Yeah.
Someone had a fat figure with cheddar, which I'm looking at.
Yeah, very short.
But in the background, we've got a couple of sideways there. Look at skim milk powder; it's all lined up mostly around the same value across regions. Which tends to indicate that demand's a bit weak. And then we show just further to that, Europe's prices are really tanking as we get to that Christmas period now. So there's an issue with cream, obviously, with Christmas stock.
Sure.
And that backs up, particularly when production is so strong. Convergence of skim milk powder values there. It uses NZX futures charting well above. Some belief that's
sorry,
dropping that out. The slide in butter is apparent there in that EX chart. Also, what's interesting there is that divergence. Still a quite great difference between European and Oceania both.
Sure.
Little pulse event last week. It seemed like things were stabilising. We'd had several weeks of fairly similar prices, but this event we've lost some momentum. So demand was pretty sick across the board. When you look at these charts, you see skim and butter, different stories, similar sort of percentages, but quite different stories. Seem to extend that bottom chart there, extended the same sort of demand pressure. Whole milk powder fell away.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah. And the fats were also different, but both awful. Butter just, fell off a cliff.
It certainly is. Slippery slope, I'd say.
You could.
Which you get with butter.
Yeah, it melted. Yeah. But look, some positives if we're to, as we tend to do.
Always look on the bright side. Yeah.
Where were the positives? So buying out of China was higher in both powders, highest since May in terms of whole milk powder in volumes. And however, it wasn't the same with skim milk powder. So this is probably where the biggest whole milk demand came in that region. Chart of the week, Joe, finishing on a
Not on a high.
Not on a high, no.
Some trade data that came out, and we put in our newsletters this week, from New Zealand to China. Again, we've seen New Zealand exports to China and Hong Kong well down year on year. And it's really stark there, isn't it, the difference in those whole milk powder exports. And then for other products too, some fairly depressed numbers there.
Yeah, it gets better as you go, into the fat category.
Sure.
Those numbers, so it's showing the monthly year on years and then the season to date. So that's the New Zealand season to date. So fats, it's been stronger, but powder's quite weak.
Yeah.
And that's a fairly somber way to end.
Obviously, small volumes involved as well. As percentage changes there. But yeah, it is a pretty somber ending, but we've got something more cheerful.
Yeah.
Our bloopers reel, which is produced with glee, I would say, by our analyst Nana, who is responsible for any professionalism that occurs in these videos at all. Nana puts these together not every week, but every time we do them. Yes. And she's put together a fabulous selection, I would say, Steve, of our very rare mistakes.
Yeah, there's not. She has to scour the whole year because there's hardly any.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, truth be known, she's got a lot of material to work with.
She has a lot to work with. But she's put together another bloopers reel. It's often our most watched
Which is sad.
video. Yeah, it would be just sad, given all the insights and information we provide in the other videos. It's actually people watching us make idiots of ourselves that's the most popular. But it's available on our webpage. There'll be a link. It's on our Freshagenda YouTube channel. So any way you can, make sure you check it out.
For a bit of Christmas mood.
Yeah, just a little bit of a laugh at our expense.
All right. Well,
and thanks, Nana.
Thanks for watching this year. Best wishes of the season to all our regular viewers and those who've only just discovered us.
Even the irregular ones.
We'll be back in the new year with the first GDT event, I think. We'll see how we go with that.
We'll negotiate.
Yeah. All the best for Christmas and New Year. See you in 23.